Hey guys, Mark Anderson, LateNightMMA.com. Thanks for checking out another video. Going to break down UFC Fight Night 29, the prelim fights, and this fight card is going down in Brazil. Okay, so we're about a week and a half out before the fight, so I just want to make my predictions. And the first fight we will see is going to be on the Facebook prelim card. That's Alan Patrick, 10-0, versus Garrett Whiteley, 7-0. As I mentioned, Garrett is 7-0, and he's fighting out of Indianapolis. His first 7 fights, he's finished all 7 fights. He also had a amateur MMA record of 4-0. Meanwhile, Alan Patrick, as we mentioned, is perfect as well, 10-0, and he had a big win in the Jungle Fight promotion. I don't have a lot of info on either one of these fighters, but I'm just going to make my prediction as Alan Patrick based on the fact that he's a Brazilian fighter, he's fighting at home, and that's going to be a big advantage. Okay, next fight. Some of these names of these Brazilian fighters I just can't pronounce, but the first guy's last name is Santos. He's 27-8-1, one no contest, versus Chris Carriazo, 14-5. So Santos is 0-2 in the UFC, and he has a 27-8-1 overall record. His most recent loss in the octagon was to Ian McCall. Meanwhile, we got Chris, 14-5 in MMA, 4-3 in the UFC. He's also lost 2 fights in a row after having a 3-fight win streak snapped. You know, I like Chris in this spot because he's a veteran. He's been fighting in the top promotions for a very long time. He fought in Strikeforce, then he went to World Extreme Cage Fighting, and now he's been in the UFC for 7 or 8 fights here. And that's why I have to go with Chris in this spot. I think whoever loses this fight will be released by the promotion, so I'm going with Chris. Okay, now let's get to the prelim card on Fox Sports 1. And we have Jan Cabral. He is 10-0. He's going to be fighting David Mitchell, 12-3. Jan makes his UFC debut after a 2-year layoff. His last fight was at Dream 17, and that was a big win. Okay, meanwhile, David Mitchell, 12-3, but he's 1-3 in the UFC. And heads into this fight in a must-win situation. I just think in this spot, I'm going to go with Jan Cabral because he's beaten some name guys over in the Dream promotion, and David Mitchell has really struggled here in the UFC, going 1-3. So my pick is Jan Cabral. Okay, guys. Next up, Idomar Alcantara, 19-5 versus Igor Araujo, 23-6. Alcantara is 9-5, as I mentioned, but he really has put things together recently. He has a 9-fight win streak and is 2-0 in the UFC. He also got a submission of the night bonus way back in January. Meanwhile, Igor is 23-6-1, and he's won 4 fights in a row. For me, this is the easy pick. Idomar is on a roll right now, while Igor will be making his octagon debut. So my pick here is Alcantara. Okay, guys, Hackran Diaz, 21-2-1 versus Rodrigo Dam, 11-6. So breaking Diaz down here, guys. As I mentioned, 21-2-1, 1-1 in the UFC, with his last loss coming at the hands of Nick Lentz. And his last loss, you have to go all the way back to 2009. So this guy's on a roll as well. Meanwhile, Rodrigo Dam is 2-1 in the UFC, 11-6 overall. His last win was a split decision victory, and he won a submission of the night bonus way back at UFC 147. My pick here is Diaz, just because I can't go against a guy that's 21-2-1. Okay, guys, so those are my prelim predictions. I'll be back in the next day or so with my main card predictions. Thanks for checking out the video, and you can always find all my videos at www.latenightmma.com.